Hello again, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Mike Pomo, and I am the Partner Marketing Manager at Enghouse Interactive, and I am delighted to be facilitating today's webinar with you today. Thank you for joining the Skype for Business and Enghouse Contact Center Better Together webinar. Just want to go over a few housekeeping items before we get started. We do welcome any questions you may have. Please use the GoToWebinar chat pane on the right side of your screen to submit any questions you may have at any time throughout the webinar. Questions will be addressed at the end, and if we do happen to run out of time, we will follow up with you to answer those questions. The webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a copy of the slide deck and this recording via an email within the next few days. Now for a brief introduction for our presenters today. We are fortunate to have two presenters with us. First, we have Bill Vollertham from Enabling Technologies. Bill is the president and founder of Enabling Technology Corp., which has been in business since 1992. Prior to starting Enabling Technologies, Bill was a senior sales executive for Pioneer Technologies for 8 years, providing IT solutions for commercial and government clients. Since starting Enabling 25 years ago, Bill's passion and leadership for remaining specialized in a single core competency has become the hallmark for the company's tremendous success and growth. The company's vision for specializing in unified communication and collaboration applications has enabled organizations to realize significant cost savings, increase in user productivity, and improved business outcomes. He attended Towson University and majored in business administration. We also have John Cray, who has delivered a few presentations for us in the past. John is Enghouse Interactive's VP of Product Management with responsibility for defining the global strategy and release plans for Enghouse Contact Center products. John has a 25-year history of delivering contact center and CRM solutions and has published articles and papers on topics ranging from the future of contact centers and customer service to optimizing operating system security. He is currently based out of Chicago and holds a bachelor's degree in physics from Notre Dame and a master's degree of computer science from the University of Illinois. Now I will hand it over to both Bill and John.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. My name is Bill Vollertham. And what I wanted to do today is go through the agenda first. And I've tried to do an agenda that I think will resonate with you, and it will touch on the points that you want to hear about that are important in deciding whether Skype and Enghouse Contact Center software would possibly fit your needs and your strategic IT objectives. So first of all, we're going to cover who's Enabling Technologies and why it should matter to you if you're considering working with a systems integrator. After that, we'll get into digital disruption, and you hear a lot about it today with communication and collaboration and what those drivers for digital disruption mean when it comes to Skype. I'll turn it over to John then, and John's going to talk about the deployment options for Skype for Business and get into more of the technical aspects of integration with Enghouse. And then we'll come back to some major considerations that you need to consider to ensure a successful outcome in deploying Skype and Enghouse. We'll hit on some success stories. We've personally had over 13 successful implementations of Enghouse Contact Center software with Skype, and we'll focus on at least 5 or 6 of those. And then we'll even address a call to action plan if you want to take it a step further. Feel free to ask some questions through the message window down there. So a little on our background. As Michael had mentioned, I started the company in 1992. We have been a Microsoft's Unified Communications Partner of the Year winner 3 out of the last 8 years. And we are gold certified for not only on-prem, but hybrid and cloud deployments. And since starting the company in 1992, we've seen this evolution with Microsoft in unified communications. First, it started with Office Communication Server back in 2007, and then that evolution evolved into Lync 2010, 2013, and here we are with Skype on-prem a couple years ago, and now we even have Skype in the cloud. So there's been a gradual evolution here. We have completed personally over 1,600 deployments of Microsoft, either Lync, Office Communication Server, and Skype. Our services include a full life cycle, everything from the envisioning, the planning, the network assessment, the implementation, migration, change management services to get the user adoption for both Skype and Enghouse Contact Center. This digital disruption, you hear a lot about it. It's that change that occurs when new digital technologies and business models affect the value proposition of existing goods and services. And if you're on this call today, you're responsible for delivering a better customer experience in your call centers. Digital disruption is making companies transform their business models to remain competitive, profitable, and agile. Digital disruption has enabled virtual business models to remove the competitive and geographic barriers. It's fostering manufacturers and wholesalers closer to the end customer and ups the ante for customer engagement and a better experience. Take, for example, when you go to rent a car at the airport these days. You go into the rental car area, you see the long line, for example, National and Alamo, but you can walk over to the kiosk and engage with a call center agent and move that process along. They're using omnichannel capability, not only voice, but they're using video, and they're even using text messaging. And if they need to bring in a subject matter expert, they're able to see who's available and pull that person in so they don't lose you on the call.
Bill, I was thinking about another example, like in the medical field, right? We're seeing this tremendous disruption now where people get just appointment reminders via text message. I mean, that's now the norm, and they can change their appointment with a single click. And then, of course, they get their post-doctor visit results all electronically. That whole industry has been transformed with digital, right? I mean, it's just been the medical industry, and for the financial industry, there's tons of examples of that as well. It's kind of affecting all markets, don't you think?
It is. And it's better. It's delivering better customer service, John. I know that I just took my car into the dealership on Monday to get work done on it, and all the interaction was with the service advisor was done through text messaging, and no longer having to leave voicemails, waiting for him to call you back. You missed a call, and in the meantime, you don't get the latest status on your car. You're able to give feedback on the level of service you provided. Another example was last weekend. I checked into a hotel. By the time I got up to my room, I was already receiving a text message from the front desk asking if the room's okay and if there's anything they can do for me. So here are some of the digital disruption drivers that are driving our customers and prospective customers we're speaking to on why they want to move to Skype and a new contact center solution. First of all, the aging phone system with end of life, and they're looking for a better unified communications experience to take full advantage of communication and collaboration, not only just through voice, but through instant messaging, SMS texting, email, video. The recurring telephony expense through T1 circuits, moving to SIP, is enabling these organizations to reduce their costs. I can speak firsthand. 6 years ago, when we moved from T1s to SIP, we were able to dramatically reduce our monthly recurring expense by 85% on a monthly basis. Removing communication silos. I mean, a number of organizations, they have their email, they have text instant messaging, they have video, and there's these silos that they're trying to consolidate to provide better system administration. Pay only for the service you require. This really relates to Microsoft licensing these days. With Office 365, you only have to pay for the licenses you need for the number of users. No longer are you over-licensed. And if your business contracts, you have no way to reduce your expenses on licensing. That's no longer the case. Users, the agents, are looking for a single pane of glass, the modern workplace, to make it easier to integrate with Office, Salesforce, Dynamics. You need solutions that will scale for organic growth and acquisitions, and the virtual workforce. I can tell you firsthand of an organization such as ours, we're nationwide and we don't have any brick and mortar. Everyone works virtual. And to reduce the IT admin infrastructure costs, reduce the server footprint, have more virtual servers, and do less monthly maintenance on these servers. These are all the drivers. Michael, it's a little slow lagging with changing. Here we go. Moving the. So here's the survey we did recently with our clients and prospects on what their digital disruption challenges are. Aging phone systems. And here's one, financial viability of the existing telephony vendor that they have. As you know, you've seen Nortel get acquired by Avaya, now Avaya going into Chapter 11. These are causing concern and angst with our clients. They want to make sure that whatever they're selecting this day and today and making an investment in, it's going to be around over the next 5 to 10 years. The cost of upgrades and infrastructure maintenance, it's oppressive. And clients are looking to reduce those annual recurring fees. They want to provide a better customer service experience. Stop the lip service and really have a solution that'll deliver real-time resolution. I'm sure you've experienced it. I just did this past weekend where you call, I'm not going to use the name, it's a travel service where you're calling in, you're on hold for a very long period of time, you might be accidentally dropped, there's no automatic callback capability, there's no way to leave your number and have them call you when they're available, and if they need to bring in a subject matter expert, there's no way for them to see what expert is available so that they can pull them into that same call and resolve the issue while they have you on the line. And that's what some of these digital disruption challenges are in current call centers that you're hearing about. As well as, let's say, a call center agent that acted unprofessionally. What organizations are looking to do is provide quality monitoring capability so that they can do coaching, they can listen in on those calls and improve the level of service in the future. Staying ahead of shadow IT. IT does not want to be viewed as an order taker. They want to be seen as a partner. And they need to be involved with the business needs of the organization. And the users are not going to wait around for IT to provide these solutions. Improved optics into analytics and reporting. That comes into play in making sure that you have the right number of agents available when there are special promotions, when there's natural disasters that are occurring, and maybe peak times during the year for your business. So that workforce utilization capability really comes into play. The business drivers for Skype and Enghouse. As we said, clients want to minimize their hardware footprint, eliminate communication silos. They don't want to manage dual telephony infrastructure, and they want to remove that and have the contact center, the call control, the queuing, all in one environment. They want better interoperability with Office 365, Salesforce.com, and Dynamics. Seamless. They want to leverage their investment in Microsoft, and so does the CFO. Many customers we speak to today, they don't even know they're already licensed for Skype for Business Enterprise Voice. And when the CFO learns that, he wants that organization to begin taking advantage of it. We talked about it earlier, and you'll see it. Omnichannel contact center capabilities. We've taken advantage of voice, email, web chat, social media, video, SMS. You're going to see today they're all seamlessly connected with Enghouse to support the business communication needs. And workforce management, to be able to get higher agent utilization and lower operating costs, whereas having to have fewer agents leads to unhappy customers and lost business. Just recently, I was speaking to a credit union in the Mid-Atlantic region, and they have a very busy call center, and it's understaffed, and they're working with legacy call center tools, and they estimate that they're losing about 30% of their calls due to customers getting frustrated with wait times and not receiving a callback. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, John Cray.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Let's see if I can advance the slide here. I think I went too far. I think one of the key questions that we often get asked when we're talking about deploying something as complex as contact center with Skype for Business is, what kind of choices of topology do I have? Can I go completely online? Do I have to remain on premise? Can I do a combination? What is commonly referred to by those of us in the market as hybrid configurations. If you go to the far right, you obviously have that choice. You can deploy Skype for Business on-premise using the Skype for Business server infrastructure. You can connect it to a contact center application. You can provision your own PSTN connections into that and completely own the IT, for that configuration. There are advantages to that. You have control. You can control your own upgrades. You can control your own security and so on. Or you can go to the far left. You can actually stay online and go with a completely cloud configuration where you give up control, but you also give up having to have your IT people manage Skype and manage the complex applications. You can put it all in the cloud. The trade-offs sometimes are things like functionality and integration and the control that we talked about, but it is possible to do this and to have the whole thing managed outside of your IT department. And then there's the middle ground, where you can pick and choose various applications or data or communications infrastructure or whatever you want to do and have some of it on premise and some of it in the cloud. Salesforce has been a great example of businesses being able to move CRM functionality and ERP functionality, into the cloud while still integrating with back office systems and data. That's now happening with communication systems, voice systems, and contact center systems. So, it's sometimes, and Bill alluded to having a good integrator at your side to help you investigate these trade-offs and figure out, what am I giving up if I go pure cloud, or, what is the best configuration for me from a quality of service or performance perspective, or, my business is very distributed across the country or across the world. How should this be set up to support that business? That you need a good integrator, and then you need good technologies to blend together and offer you these choices. Microsoft is an interesting thing. We talk about the fact that when you get something as complex as contact center into the equation, you have to figure out how things like call control are managed and how calls are delivered out to agents, and then of course how you can escalate, as Bill was talking about, in this digital transformation era, from a digital interaction to a live media interaction like voice or video. How do you do that? How do you go about doing that escalation? And the Skype for Business configuration does support all of those scenarios, and it does it today in a way that requires something called federation. So today, the pure Office 365 environment does not have APIs that support complex recording and monitoring and call control functions yet. That is coming. So in the meantime, we're in this world where we use an instance of Skype for Business that is housed somewhere physically that federates to Office 365, and that allows you to appear to deliver calls directly from Office 365 out to agents that are Office 365 users. But what's actually happening is the call control is being done in a deployed configuration of Skype that is in a physical building somewhere, either hosted by a partner or within your own premise, and that is then connected to contacts off of the Office 365 environment in order to deliver calls and manage those calls to those people. So it actually uses a combination of two different Skype systems, one in the cloud and one somewhere in a physical premise, could be hosted by a partner that does that federated integration. That's the technique that is currently in use. It gets a bit technical here, but that's the technique that is currently in use in order to deliver calls seemingly to Office 365 agents. It does work well, however. So, you subscribe to an Office 365 user, you install the contact center application on their desktop, and effectively they are Office 365 agents. So it works very, very effectively. I just wanted to briefly mention there is kind of a fundamental difference between a traditional Skype enterprise user and a contact center agent. In some cases this kind of goes without saying, but contact center agents do a lot more than just handle media, coming in through a unified communication system. With UC, you get instant messaging, you get voice capabilities, you get video capabilities, you can see people's presence, you can drag people in and out of conference calls and so on, which is good for a contact center agent. They have to have access to those forms of communication. But with the contact center, you have to worry about routing interactions, whether they're voice or video or other kinds of interactions like email or web chat or mobile interactions or whatever they might be, through an intelligent routing agent to make sure that you're getting to the right person to address that customer challenge. And then here's where it can get very, very complex, is then that agent has to have access to lots of capabilities and tools in order to make them productive and to give them the context of who's calling, how do I see their history, what transactions have we had with them before, and how do I best interact with them in an intelligent way. Something as simple as prioritization. Some of your customers may be more important than others, so you want to get them answered more quickly. Something that sounds that simple on the surface could actually require, a relatively sophisticated access to CRM data in order to make a routing decision, and then to get them into a prioritized queue to get them to the right person the fastest. That kind of thing. Or as Bill mentioned, the callback scenario, where I want to offer my customers options to not have to sit there waiting on hold, which is many analysts rate as the #1 complaint of customers, is having to wait on hold without knowing how much longer I'm going to have to wait. But instead offer them that option to get a call back either at a scheduled time or as soon as an agent is available, while retaining their position in queue. So those kinds of things are very nice and can not only increase customer satisfaction, but can actually simultaneously increase the productivity of your contact center and reduce your costs. It's amazing how both of those goals can be achieved with a feature like callback, or like media escalation, or collaboration. And we'll talk in a second that Skype for Business can actually do to the contact center to make it a much more collaborative environment. So let's kind of dive into that. If we have this configuration where our agents and supervisors in the contact center are accessing a tool like the Enghouse Communication Center Contact Center product, while simultaneously having access to the unified communications capabilities of Skype, what do they get out of that maybe they didn't get from their traditional legacy Cisco or Avaya contact center or whatever it might have been? Well, let's take a look. First of all, Skype has this methodology where they can handle all media equally. To Skype, an interaction just looks like a call or an interaction. And whether that's an instant message or a video request or a conference call or a direct call, whatever it might be, Skype treats that as one interaction. So when you talk about escalation, like in a help desk where someone might instant message into a help desk queue and have it directed to a person, and it starts out as an IM, but can quickly escalate to a call or a screen sharing session, or the agent can turn on video to show someone something, or whatever it might be, that escalation is seamless in the Skype world as long as the contact center application integrates to Skype in a native endorsed manner, which is the manner that Enghouse has chosen and that we're doing alongside enabling here to offer the best optimal solution for Skype. Another advantage you get is conference control. So when an agent is on a call and say a supervisor wants to listen into that call to monitor it, or you want to record that call, or a supervisor might want to barge in and collaborate or even whisper to the agent where the customer can't hear the coaching of that agent, that's all possible because of the way Skype does call control. And again, because the contact center is integrated into Skype in a native, very close, tight way, the contact center application is able to leverage those capabilities of Skype in order to provide all that functionality. And then Skype is, of course, a unified communication environment. So it's all about collaboration. So you can see the presence not only of the other agents and supervisors in the contact center, but you can see all the presence of the back office workers that might be experts in a particular area. And since a lot of contact centers focus on something called first contact resolution, where you're trying to get the customer's issue resolved quickly, you having access with the visibility of who's available to help is great. You can quickly see someone and collaborate with them, drag them into a conversation, or IM them on the side to get an answer, or bring them in and allow them to share something on their screen. It's amazing, and all those capabilities of Skype are brought to bear with the contact center kinds of interactions with their customers, and customers can then see that as well. So it's a really nice environment for a new unified collaborative contact center kind of play. So what does it look like for an agent? If we talk about this media escalation, this ability to move across channels, and this ability to collaborate. What does that actually look like in a contact center application? If we take a look at search and collaboration, here you see an Enghouse view of the ability to quickly search for someone in a department, or you can search by name. You can even put in your directory expert advice topics, like this person is an expert on this particular product or this particular service. And by putting that into your directory, that then becomes searchable directly from the contact center application, and then that's combined with the presence information from Skype, and we can see who's available to help. Then by hovering over one of those people, you can quickly bring them into the conversation or chat with them on the side. So it's really nice. And this even has the ability to go out to their mobile device and access them via mobile chat or mobile calling or whatever you want to do. So it's very flexible, and it knows where they are and how available they are. And then, looking at it from this omni-channel media escalation perspective, a good contact center application will show you who that customer is, will allow you to actually handle multiple interactions at the same time, whether it's multiple interactions with that one customer, in this case Rachel Bishop, or even I might be doing a chat or an email with another customer and I get an escalated interaction from Rachel, and I can take that interaction right now and then go back to that other email from, in this case, Lynette, that I'm working on there down at the bottom of the screen. So there's all that capability, and if you trust your agents, they can move back and forth across interactions very seamlessly. And here in this screen, I'm seeing a lot, right? I'm seeing information about Rachel on the right-hand side there. That information may have come from a CRM system or another data source. I'm seeing that context. I'm seeing the chat itself that I'm conducting. By hovering over Rachel, I'm able to escalate that chat to a live call or text her on her cell phone, whatever the best way is to engage Rachel and send her the information that she needs. So it's very powerful, rich experience for the agent. They feel more empowered. They have all the information they need. They have all the control they need. And they're taking full advantage of the Skype for Business infrastructure in order to perform all these media interactions and collaborative features. Real quickly, we often forget about the person who's at the front end of the business, the receptionist or attendant. We've got a variation of this UI, which the UI is called Touchpoint, for the attendant or receptionist that, again, connects directly to Skype for Business, either in the cloud through Office 365 or on-premise, uses queuing and routing to get interactions, again, potentially routed to the right receptionist, maybe who handles a particular department of the business, and then provides, again, a highly visual, very engaging experience to make that receptionist extremely productive. And it has things like color coding. You can kind of see it on the screens there to the right, where it shows you the age of calls and interactions in the system. It has all those collaboration and presence access controls, and it just makes them, with a couple of clicks, able to get calls to the most common people who handle that kind of interaction. You even have recent transfers. So like say you're in a hospital and a patient calls in, they often talk to their doctor over and over again. Well, we put their doctor right at the top of the list so that you can quickly, with a single click, move the call off to that common destination endpoint. It's just creating a very productive environment, and it can use the same queuing and routing as the contact center uses in order to provide an economy of scale for the business. And then lastly, just wanted to hit on this one topic is, let's say you're on a legacy PBX environment today, Avaya, Cisco, Mitel, Shorta, whatever it is, and you want to consider a migration to Skype. Can you do it? Do you have to do it in one fell swoop, which would be a very possibly difficult undertaking if you have multiple offices or multiple areas or departments that you want to manage? You might want to do it in stages. And the nice thing about a good contact center application and use of a great integrator like Enabling is that you can create a migration strategy for your business that moves you over time, allowing you to, say, choose to migrate by department, where they might have different contact center queues and, different groups of people. You're migrating at their own pace, even down to the team or even down to the individual level. If you just wanted to migrate people one by one. Commonly you're going to pick a site or a department or a business unit to migrate first. Sometimes some of the mission critical contact center customer service groups may be migrated later in the equation, but you can do that, and you can do it, by the, with the fact that you have shared components like SBCs and gateways that can simultaneously be connected to your legacy PBX environment while also providing PSTN and network for your new Microsoft environment. And so there's a lot of shared equipment that can be used along the way. All the quality of service trade-offs and configuration options and decisions, can be managed by a great integrator like Enabling. So you've got all that, great partnership available to you to make these kinds of decisions. But it does allow you to either stay on the legacy environment for part of the business indefinitely or to provide this sort of staged migration. And with that, I will turn it back over to Bill.
Thank you, John. Great job. All right. So this is what comes up when I'm meeting with CIOs. What are those critical success factors for achieving my vision and bringing in Skype and Enghouse contact center software? We always say one size doesn't fit all. So you need to engage all the stakeholders in an organization to ensure that you understand their specific needs and desires. You need to gain executive sponsorship and advocacy and funding commitment. And don't pay, delivering a better client experience lip service. You need to provide the tools for, real-time resolution. John talked about it earlier here. First content resolution. So you need to have that passion for delivering the best client experience. When you have that customer on the phone, you want to try to do your best to get it resolved and at least reduce the number of callbacks by at least 10%. And that's what Skype can allow you to do. It allows you to see what subject matter expert is available, bring them into the call, and get real-time resolution. Another critical success factor is a network assessment of your LAN and WAN infrastructure and to even do some testing. Because the last thing we want to do is exacerbate an already stressed network. It's not going to deliver a good customer experience for voice and video. A willingness to change the culture and adapt to digital disruption. This is where change management is so critical. Think about it yourself. Look back on your last 3 projects. Were they successful, and could you have done a better job with getting user adoption through change management? And change management just doesn't finish when you deliver the project. It's ongoing. As personnel change, the training needs to continue. Okay, so the benefits from a Skype Enghouse solution. First, the avoiding financial risk. This is a proven solution with over 500 plus contact center installations on Skype for Business. That's compelling. This is not new territory for Enghouse, Microsoft, or Enabling Technologies. We alone have done 13 with Enghouse. Integration of your existing PBX platform for a phased migration approach. In a moment here, I'm going to profile one of our client success stories. you can stay on your existing PBX platform and gradually move to Skype with the Enghouse product. Businesses can leverage Skype for Business, call control, and combine it with queuing, routing, reporting, and analytics to give you a better experience overall. Workforce management, I talked about it before. It allows you to increase the agent utilization and lower the operating costs. An example, one of our clients, David's Bridal, learned months ago that one of their major competitors in a particular market was going out of business. They wanted to go after those customers and win them over, and they were successful at doing that. One of the things they needed to do with workforce management is make sure they have enough agents available to take on that increased business. It also allows you to scale for business expansion and growth. So here's some success stories, and I will get into some specifics, but every woman out there is familiar with Pandora. They are a global organization growing at a rate of about 30% annually, and they're using Skype for Business Enterprise Voice throughout the globe and have it deployed in a number of locations. They're also using Enghouse contact center software for all their agents. David's Bridal, you'll hear more about. Seattle Sounders, when it comes to the sports sector. In the healthcare space, we have George Washington Medical Faculty Associates. And higher education is using the Skype Enghouse contact center solution heavily, Eastern Kentucky being just one of those. Talking about a phased-in approach, David's Bridal did just that. They had an existing Avaya PBX and elected to bring in the Enghouse product and run it on their Avaya PBX and gradually move it over to Skype for Business Enterprise Voice. So it's coexistence in that case. Skype was being used for IM presence and conferencing and desktop sharing. And they have a large contact center. They wanted to take advantage of some of the agent coaching capabilities of monitoring, whispering, engaging, and the Omnichannel functionality. And it was scalable. So as their business grows, they weren't going to outgrow the Enghouse product. The Kennedy Center, one of the largest performing arts centers in the U.S., we worked with them. They were on an old legacy Nortel platform and needed a better customer experience for subscription sales, customer service, and help desk. When tickets go on sale for a big production such as Hamilton or Book of Mormon, they need to be ready to handle the onslaught of calls for tickets. And as such, they needed to upgrade their Nortel systems to have a more scalable platform, as well as be able to take advantage of workforce management to ensure that they had the right number of agents available to not lose business and have customers drop and not subscribe for tickets. Northern Arizona University, a large deployment for us. 200 seats, contact center. They're supporting student registration, alumni donations. They moved from a Nortel telephony platform over to Skype for Business. They needed to take advantage of the Omnichannel capability because they were already on. They moved to Skype for Business Enterprise Voice. They wanted that rich, unified communications capability, and also needed to integrate with Salesforce.com. Harbor One Bank was a recent customer that moved to the Enghouse solution. They had been on Skype for Business Enterprise Voice for several years, and they wanted to streamline that process to improve customer service. They wanted the ability for reception operators to have visibility and awareness, to direct customers to available representatives, that getting to that subject matter expert. They didn't want customers to leave their site and jump to another bank because they didn't have access to experts. Also, they had agents prior to Enghouse tripping over each other. Sometimes up to 3 team members would unknowingly be trying to help the same customer at the same time, which looked awfully unprofessional. From the sports world, the Seattle Sounders, champions last year, they needed to not only integrate with their Skype Enterprise Voice, but Dynamics 365. They like the ability to also integrate with their mobile devices. They are a big user of mobile devices with the Seattle Sounders and have that call coaching capability. So with that, clients will ask us, what's my next step? And we tell them, get started with a planning design. And that planning design is the usage profile assessment. Let's determine how each user group is going to need to work with this technology so that they feel that what's in it for them and there's going to be successful user adoption, and we make sure that we address their requirements. From that planning design, we get back to an envisioning and architecture road mapping. How do you get to your strategic vision? We may even suggest an immersion experience where we come on site with the technology and set up a day in the life with 10 key stakeholders, and they get to work with all of the Office 365 technology. And we can even then advance that to a pilot where we're doing a pilot of the Skype for Business with the Enghouse call center software. So we believe it's a gradual process. It has to be an immersion experience. There has to be a thorough needs assessment to ensure we have a successful outcome so that your users can achieve more. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions and answers.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, John. As Bill just mentioned, we are going to start the question and answer part of the webinar. As I mentioned earlier, with the chat pane on the right side of your GoToWebinar interface, you could enter those in. I am going to start with some that came in during the webinar. The first one was, what is the transition like to a Skype for Business platform?
Good question. And what we typically will do is do that planning and design assessment, assess their client's network, and we'll gradually introduce Skype, because this is a digital disruptor. If you're on a legacy telephony platform and you're not accustomed to using instant messaging and presence, we would suggest starting out with IM presence and conferencing, and get users in a pilot, get the pilot fully baked in, then bring in other departments. Once that has baked in, then start introducing voice with a pilot group. Get all the kinks worked out, ensure that we have good quality call quality service, and then work with key stakeholders to address needs such as call center capabilities. And that usually is over that evolution period anywhere from 6 to 12 months.
All right, another question. I guess this leads into or expands upon it. How does it compare, the Skype for Business platform, how does it compare to my existing PBX that I'm already using?
Well, I'll just speak firsthand. Before we went to Office Communication Server back in, 2009, 2010, we were on an Avaya PBX. And we had email with Exchange and Outlook, and then we had our Avaya PBX. And trying to pull individuals into calls easily, who's available, was just a nightmare. You received voicemail, and you weren't able to get much accomplished. Voicemail is really almost non-existent these days. If I can't see you're available, why would I even bother calling you? The ability to, we call it Skype stalking. You can tag a user, and once that user becomes free and available, then you'll be sent a toast, and you can contact that user. It is just created so much more efficiencies in our organization, and the old telephony platform is just so outdated, and it just won't keep up with the pace of our business any longer.
Hey, Bill, can I add something to that? Because Enabling and Enghouse both use Skype as our infrastructure for our businesses, and in Enghouse we found all kinds of different ways to make use of Skype to share data. And just yesterday, this is incredible that I didn't actually know this would work, but if you're instant messaging someone through Skype, you can send them whatever you want, right, through any data source directly through the IM, including a file. And so if your email server has got a limit on the size of files that you're sending, like in this case it was like a 50 megabyte file, we just sent it over the IM to the target destination, and it just went in about a minute. Transfer the 50 megabyte file was done. There was you didn't need Dropbox or any of the kind of web services to do it. You can literally do it right over an instant message. It just changes the way you move data back and forth and collaborate with each other. It's a completely new way of working together. It is extremely collaborative. And now that Microsoft is introducing Teams, and they're going to be integrating that into Skype, there's just a lot going on with collaboration right now and making it better and better.
Once you've been on Skype, there's no going back.
It's true.
All right, and the final question looks like I have, unless anybody else is typing anything in. How does the call center change with a Skype for Business application?
Bill, if you're okay, I'll take this one. So we talked a little bit about it. So I think transforming from a traditional siloed call center into a collaborative environment is the main change in thinking that contact centers tend to go through when they introduce something like Skype for Business. There's the media escalation part, where you stop thinking about interactions as siloed. I'm on a call, therefore I stay on a call, and you start thinking about it as what's the best form of communication I need to solve this customer's problem, and being able to escalate across media to do that, and having a contact center user experience that can allow you to do that easily. That tends to be the way you start thinking. And then the other part is, of course, use of experts. You have access to presence information. You have instantaneous access to anybody in your business. So it starts breaking down the boundaries, I think, of the traditional contact center, and you start thinking about the business as customer service. And although your customer service agents may be still your front line, they can tap into all this data and information, and the people with all the information they have to solve the customer's issues. So it starts breaking down the boundaries, I think, of the traditional contact center, and you start thinking about the business as customer service. And although your customer service agents may be still your front line, they can tap into all this data and information and the people with all the information they have to solve the customer's issues. So it's kind of, it changes your mindset, I think, from a contact center perspective.
All right, and we did get a couple more in. Can Skype Enghouse be integrated with other CRM cloud solutions such as SAP hybrids?
Absolutely. So Enghouse Contact Center is currently integrated to, I think, about 15 or 16 different CRM systems. SAP is one of them. In fact, the integration to SAP is extremely tight, allowing us to put data and controls inside the SAP user interface, as well as, of course, enabling the contact center with our own Touchpoint interface. So there's a lot of synergy with SAP available. Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, Pivotal, Onyx. I mean, just run through the CRM systems, and we have pretty much packaged plugins and integrations to all the major systems.
All right, and how many people still insist on having a physical phone device with their enterprise voice rather than using a laptop and headset?
That is a great question, and that's where change management and sitting down with the stakeholders really comes into play and what's in it for them. You'd be surprised. I would say that at least 40 to 50% of users today are still using a Skype certified phone on their desk. It's their preference. You know, some people just are not fond of working with headsets, and we get that. This presentation I'm doing today, I'm using a Jabra, what they call hockey puck speakerphone. But that's the beauty. That's one of the things that we try to encourage with our change management. We have a device day, and we bring in all the Skype devices, and you choose what you feel is best for you. It enables you to get better user adoption of this digital disruptive technology.
All right, and final one before time runs out. Does this platform work through remote apps, or does the software need to be on a local drive?
So if we're talking about the contact center platform, it's either or. You can use a Microsoft Terminal Services Citrix kind of environment to have the software run on a server and have the desktop simply be a portal into that, or you can actually do the installation on the desktop. If you do the installation on the desktop option, which you might choose to do depending on quality of service concerns and performance concerns or your own topology, that application does auto update. So that's often a concern that gets asked about is what happens when there are new versions of the application available. The version is pushed out from a server to the client. That can also be done with Citrix, or Terminal Services, so you can push it out, new versions out automatically as well. So I guess any and all of the above.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. Just to remind everyone that has attended, there will be a link sent out to you that includes the slide deck and a copy of the webinar itself. Thank you again to both Bill and John for presenting. We very much appreciate both your time. And again, thank you all for attending, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.